Welcome back, everyone, to the Founders Only podcast. Today, I am so thrilled and excited to welcome Linda Rabbitt. Linda is the founder and executive chairman of RAND Construction, the largest women-founded, woman-owned commercial general contractor in the United States. She has led RAND to national recognition with offices across multiple states. Linda has served on boards including Children's National Hospital, the Economic Club of Washington, D.C., and the Federal City Council. She is a former chair of the Federal Reserve Bank 5th District. She has also held leadership roles in major industry associations. She founded board leadership programs at George Washington University and Harvard and has earned numerous accolades, including the Horatio Alger Award and Washingtonian's 100 Most Powerful Women in D.C. Welcome, Linda. So we're going to just jump right in and talk about your story. What inspired you to start RAND Construction in 1989?
So Mia, I had already started my first construction company in 1985 with another woman I had known through the Greater Washington Board of Trade, which is a business association in Washington, D.C. And by 1989, she and I decided to go separate ways, and I started RAND Construction.
Tell me a little bit about your story and how you came up with the idea and the name and what your life looked like at that time.
I was very fortunate to have be part of a really very loving family. And my father was an immigrant from Germany in 1925. My mother's family was from Italy, and he taught me discipline and she taught me love. But they both loved me, of course, but he was a very disciplined man. I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan, Grosse Pointe and Bloomfield Hills. I had a perfectly normal childhood. It was all just normal. I was a cheerleader. I was in the French club. I was a leader in lots of things, and went to the University of Michigan. Now, my father should have, since he had 19 patents in automotive engineering, he should have invited me to go to Michigan's engineering school. However, my mother wanted me to become a teacher, marry a near perfect man, have two beautiful children, and then be out in the community helping others. So their visions were very different. When I graduated from school, I came to Washington, D.C., and got my master's degree at George Washington University. So here I am, Miss Cute, perfect, high grades, high achiever, and then boom, married the wrong man. Unfortunately, I married a very wealthy doctor. I was his second wife, and at the time, in that era, there were no drugs for manic depression, or what's now called bipolar. So he self-medicated with diet pills, which were really speed, and at first was emotionally abusive, and then in the end was physically abusive. So at 32 years old, I left my mansion and all the trappings of a suburban life, and started my life over again. But before that, after I got my master's degree, I was a school teacher for 3 years, teaching English and American history. So I'd lost my teaching certificate. I had no money, and he took all our money offshore, and there I was. I got my first job at KPMG, which was called Pete Marwick Mitchell at the time, for $16,000 as a secretary. Then I was promoted to the managing partner's executive assistant, And 3 months later, he promoted me to director of practice development, which was really a marketing position. And that man, the managing partner, a man named Steve Harlan, changed the trajectory of my adult life. So, in I worked for him, and one day I said to him, "Sir, are are you smarter than I am?" And he said, "Oh no, Linda, you're very smart." I went, "Okay. Are you more clever than I am?" He said, "No, you're very clever. I got one more question. Are you more strategic than I am?" And he said, "No, you're very strategic." I said, "Okay, sir, then why do you make 10 times more money than I do?" And he said, "Because I have a corner office. Go find yourself a corner office." And I did. In 1985, a woman I knew was starting the first woman owned construction company. And we became partners, and then we separated in '89. So I've been a student, teacher, a wife, a mom, a divorcee, a secretary, a marketing director, and a business owner.
So tremendous. So let's talk about, were you ever entrepreneurial before? Like when you were younger, did you happen to, I don't know, have a lemonade stand or something like that? It's a common question I ask our guests to try to see, when people create businesses, how many of them are kind of lifelong entrepreneurs as children, or how many actually start this journey as adults?
My mother and I wrote a newsletter for the community, and we sold it for 5 cents each. And we that was my first entrepreneurial adventure when I was in elementary school.
Got it. So, how would you describe your leadership approach? And specifically, what are some of the core values that you believe contribute to Rand's success?
Well, my leadership approach is really the best idea wins. You can ask anybody at Rand Construction when we get together in a room, the best idea wins. It's not always my idea, and it can come from anywhere. It can come from the receptionist, it can come from a project manager, it can come from a superintendent. But the best way to approach something, the best idea wins. And with that, I try to encourage, inspire, and mentor. But we have four core values at Rand. They're resilience, of course, because I had to be resilient. Results, of course, because that matters. Reputation and relationships. The 4 R's of Rand.
I love that. I love that. Uh, so when you say that best idea wins, and you listen from the bottom to the top for innovation in your company, what are some of the ways that you facilitate those conversations and feedback loops within your organization? Do you have any cadence of meetings, or do you do one-on-ones? Do you do all hands meetings on a certain cadence, retreats and things like that? Or what are some of the forums that you offer inside of Rand to facilitate that kind of feedback collection and idea generation?
So we have 7 offices across the country. The Virginia office is also headquarters. And so our headquarter people have their meetings here. I have 9 partners now, so the 10 of us meet on a regular cadence. Every single office has an annual meeting where we share our goals and vision for the future. And every summer, we have our Rand birthday party in all of our offices where we enjoy each other's company and give promotions and accolades to people who have forwarded our values.
What strategies do you think were most pivotal in growing Rand, perhaps maybe in the earlier days?
Well, first of all, I had to learn the game. And I don't mean that it's a game. I mean, I had to learn the lay of the land. And I had to understand I didn't have a background in construction. So my biggest challenge was always credibility. Like, what does she know? She's a marketing person. And that's how I became known at first as a marketing person. Well, I did have so many contacts in the community in high levels, having met these people through KPMG, that I did have mentors and people who truly wanted to help me. So I looked at construction a little bit differently than contractors at that time in the Washington area. I looked at us as a professional service firm because that's what I came out of, was a professional service firm. That's where I learned about business. And looking at it that way and acting that way and dressing that way and responding to clients that way was really pivotal. My competitors used to call us the Nordstrom models of construction because we looked and acted and spoke like our very sophisticated, very exacting clients.
You've been able to accomplish something truly, truly remarkable in business over the last 40 years. And when I heard this, when you spoke last, when I heard you speak at PwC, uh, I was I was floored, which is no corporate debt. What advice would you give to other founders about balancing growth with financial prudence, especially in industries that often are reliant on leveraging debt?
Well, first of all, when I first started, no one would loan a school teacher who was starting a construction company any money. So I had to learn how to make cash flow work. And because we were in the beginning a 60-day or 90-day cash flow business, because our projects were anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 weeks to 12 weeks, we had to learn that cash was king, which led us to make sure that we worked for the right people. So who we worked for and who I hired were the two biggest decisions I ever had to make in the early years. And we worked for people who were honorable people, and I wasn't chasing revenue, I was chasing relationships.
Hmm. Okay, I like that.
So the result of that was just part of our DNA, that we were going to work for upstanding people. We were going to work on our relationships. We were going to give them results. And we have never, moreover, we have never sued or been sued by a client in this industry. So we did a lot of negotiating, but our reputation was always so important to us. And that's why we called it the 4 R's of Rand. Those are the pillars of how we function as an organization.
Surely, I'm assuming, but surely there must have been some moments where cash was tight. How are there any tactics you can share with our listeners about how to be methodical and strategic with your cash and forecasting and planning with your financials? For example, were you looking at your P&L every day or every month or every year? Were you looking at
Every
your cash
week.
flow statements? Okay, 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 every week. And when you had to make a decision, say hiring, how did you make that decision? Did you wait perhaps until, a job or a when I say a job, I mean a contract, client contract demanded that you hire more people, or were you more hiring and then finding work for those people? I think I know what the answer is, but I'm just want to explore some of the tactics that you leverage to actually make this work of leveraging cash and not taking debt, if that makes sense. If my question's clear.
So in my swim lane of the business, which is high-end corporate interiors and capital expenditure work for real estate developers, I just was looking for talent. I never hired for a project. I hired for talent because I was more confident that we could get the work than I was that we could hire the right people in a timely fashion. The first thing I did was really treat the superintendents very differently than they had been treated in other organizations. They got interest-free loans. I did a lot for the superintendents to make them feel as professional as the office staff was. The office staff is all highly educated, college degreed. The field staff is excellent in their trades, very smart, but they get treated differently, and I helped elevate that. That was really one of the big differences in the very beginning, that I treated people who had been looked down on or dismissed or used in a professional way.
Would you say then that at any point brand has been more employee first over customer first?
No, I would say I I wanted to marry the very best people with the very best clients.
Okay.
That was always my goal, to find the very best people and marry them with the very best clients.
Meet Brandy, your all-in-one content creation sidekick designed to make creating and managing your brand's content effortless. Let me show you how it works. Got a team? Bring them in. With Brandy, everyone can pitch in to create content that clicks. Managing multiple brands? Easily switch between profiles so you're always ready for the next project. The Brand Voice Analyzer ensures your content always sounds like you. Stuck on where to start? Check out our handy prompt templates. They're like creative jumpstarts to get things moving. Every edit, every version saved. With content revision history, nothing gets lost, and you can always pick up right where you left off. Everything your brand needs, it's all right here in your brand asset library. Stay organized like a pro with custom folders for every project. No more hunting for that one file. Brandy does too, and is ready to help you connect. Or in any language, really. Speak to your audience in the words they know best. Need ideas or have questions? Just ask Brandy. Save time with custom snippets. Your most used phrases, always handy when you need them. Keep your notes, links, and ideas in one spot, so you're never hunting for that one piece of inspiration. Get personalized content tips and SEO strategies to help your brand stand out online. Join Brandy today and make your content creation smarter, faster, and better. Let's create something amazing.
How do you see the construction industry evolving in terms of technology and sustainability? And how has RAND adapted and continuing to adapt to those changes?
So we have now professionals in each area of focus and expertise that we need. In construction, the construction industry is evolving in terms of technology and sustainability, and we have experts, their own departments, who are part of our technology and part of our sustainability. And we use as many forward-thinking tools as we can to help in the technology side. And in the sustainability side, we continue to inform our clients about sustainability options, and we also research what other industries are doing to think more deeply about what's happening in our own industry. I am curious by nature, and I am curious how other people are doing it, even outside of our own industry, because we can learn from those people. But in terms of AI, for example, the unifying data from separate sources of our business
Hmm.
to use analytics to make efficient and effective decisions has been groundbreaking. And everyone doesn't have the courage to try that. They don't have the knowledge to do it, and they don't have the forward thinking, what's next attitude to, good enough is good enough, and I'm doing just fine. I don't need to think about tomorrow. Well, tomorrow always comes.
Yes. Yes. And you, having been in business for 40 plus years now, you've seen firsthand other really tremendous changes in terms of technology kind of come into the forefront. For example, internet, computers being heavily used in all businesses, in all homes. And so you've really had an opportunity to kind of go through this kind of monumentous technological change and navigating that. And so I guess you would really know. In terms of AI, do you believe that the companies, regardless of industry, that aren't going to leverage AI are going to get left behind?
Yes.
So, as the pioneering female leader that you are in the construction industry, Linda, what advice would you give to women entering this field? And how do you support women entering this field?
In our industry now, currently, it is more accepting of women than it certainly was 40 years ago. The national average of women in the construction industry is 10%. 10% of their colleagues are women. At Rand Construction, 25% of my colleagues are women. I try to train and teach women how to work in an environment that is still very male dominated. But that's where the teacher in me comes out. See, that teaching degree really helped in the end.
It really does.
So I mentor women to ask for advice, to ask for feedback. Men often have a very hard time giving honest feedback to women. They're afraid that they will either get emotional
Mm.
or get angry, and they don't know how to handle either. So I encourage women to say, "So, Joe, how do you think I handled that situation? But please be my friend, be my colleague, give me some feedback on this." And once you allow that opportunity to have a dialogue, women do get better, get mentored much, much better because you've given them permission to do that. The other, the other thing I try to talk to women about is they have to learn different communication skills.
Mm.
Still, in this day, women of all professions have a narrow band of the way they can express themselves. So if you're too soft, you're disregarded as weak. We were called powder puffs. Remember those days? And when we were too aggressive, then the words that were used rhymed with which. In the early years, I tell women, I share with women that they really need to be experts in something. They need to be a go to person. And as they grow and develop, they need to volunteer to do difficult assignments and not be afraid. When I walk down the hall to a woman, often I'll say, "Can I see you in my office?" And she'll say, "What did I do wrong?" I'll walk down the hall to a man and say, "Can I see you in my office?" And he'll go, "Yeah, how can I help you? I'm here to help. What do you need?" So, so women have to learn self-confidence, and the way they can learn that is by taking on hard assignments and being the go-to person. So then they need to start exploring their leadership styles, and um, then they need to decide who they want who they want to be as a leader. You can be a leader if you're a receptionist. Leadership is not just at the top of any organization. Leadership is all throughout the organization.
If you could tell 30-year-old Linda one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't let other people define who you are and what you're capable of.
Okay, well said. um, how do your roles on various corporate boards influence your perspective on business and leadership?
I have loved sitting on corporate boards and getting involved in civic and business organizations. First of all, for a woman, it's a great place to reinforce your own leadership capabilities and skills. It's a great place to showcase outside of your industry, outside of your little niche, outside of your company, who you really are and what you're really capable of. So, we're in the people business and as a professional service firm, and I think the thing that I learned the most and the fastest was it didn't matter if you were a small company, a mid-cap company, or a large company, the issues are all the same. The magnitude is different, but the issues are all the same. And it was comforting for me to see that I wasn't just making unique mistakes, that these were mistakes everybody makes, and it's part of the flow of growing a business. So
Please.
I feel like on those boards I gave a lot of insight that most often I was one of the few women, and I gave insight that they may have missed, but I learned a lot too. So it was a wonderful opportunity for give and take.
What would you recommend for businesses that are building a board, perhaps newly building a board? What do you think about offering? What types of value can they offer to incite or encourage really high quality board members like yourself to participate in that with them?
I've actually founded 2 programs at 2 different universities to instruct women about the roles and responsibilities of sitting on boards. First one was at George Washington University called On the Board, and this current one is at Harvard Business School called Women on Boards. And the purpose of that is, number one, to really understand what the roles and responsibilities are, but number two, to not just want to sit on a board because it makes you feel like you're a big deal. What are you interested in? What do you what contribution do you want to make to what industry, to to the world, to your community? And people often get hung up on, well, I just want to sit on a board. Well, that's not the purpose of board leadership. The purpose of board leadership is making things better than you found them.
Mm, mm. I really like that. So, what are some other ways that you envision AI shaping the future of entrepreneurship and leadership across industries?
You can probably put in the eye of a needle how much I really know about AI. Fortunately, I have wonderful people here at Rand Construction that help me through this. But I have to say that I use Chat GBT all the time. If I'm giving a talk or giving a speech or at our annual meeting, when I open the meeting, Chat GBT has been wonderful for better explaining complex issues in a more understandable fashion. And I'm a pretty good writer. I have a degree in English, so I can write, but it's amazing how the expression comes out more less complex, more to the point, more forceful, and more understandable. In general, AI helps with, data-driven decision making, as I said before, helping us make decisions faster and better and less expensive. We make fewer errors through AI. It certainly helps with communication and team management. And some of the things it predicts are astounding and a little scary, to be honest with you. Like it tries to predict some performance issues of colleagues, and I'm not sure I totally get that yet, but I'm following it. And it does help predict market trends. So, when I was on the board of the Federal Reserve of the Fifth District, that we didn't have these tools. So I would say data, communication, market trends.
Do I have this idea that AI will, at least in the near term, only replace people who don't bring value or deliver value? Do you agree with that, or and what is your general idea of the fear that people have that AI will replace their jobs and them? What do you think about that? Do you think that's on the horizon? Do you think that it may be on the horizon but you're not sure? Do you feel strongly that it's coming, and if so, who do you think will be saved from that?
I've thought a lot about this. Number one, it's just the human condition to not like change. It's just the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
So it, and it's the human condition to be afraid about your future, your job, your security. We're all security minded. I look out at our projects, and somebody's going to have to hang drywall and put in the lights and do certain things. But what we can do is, with scanning methods and other things, we can really improve our delivery and make fewer and fewer costly mistakes. In every generation that I've studied, because I also have a degree in history, those who accepted the future, those who looked to the future and said, this is coming, I need to study it, I need to understand it, I need to figure out what I like about it, I need to figure out what I don't like about it, are going to be winners. And, we've seen that throughout history.
Definitely. Linda, what's one book, podcast, or resource that has profoundly impacted your perspective and mindset as a founder?
I love this question. What When I first started owning a business, my husband, I've been married now for 35 years, my husband would take me to motivational speakers, and one of them was Zig Ziglar. I still keep a little booklet of Zig Ziglar's quotations on my desk. Nobody will care what you know until they know that you care,
Mm-hmm.
is my favorite one. But I also loved Marshall Goldman's book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And that's about always reinventing yourself and becoming the next person you want to be and leaning into your next aspirations. And I've given that book to so many people, but again, a favorite, and maybe it's because I met him, was Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, Harvey Mackay.
Oh, I have to
And
read this one.
because sharks never stop swimming.
Ah.
So in business, you can't stop swimming. And he too was a great motivational speaker. So I took in all that I could take in of what success really looks like. And success has many faces.
One thing that I guess, quote, well, I don't know who said it, and I'm sure many said it, but I guess one mantra that I have is that you cannot grow a business without personally growing.
That's
And
right.
I feel like that's very aligned with what you were just saying in some of these books that you just mentioned. And do you have anything else to add about that, and the level of self awareness and constant progression, not being a perfectionist, but getting it done and doing it the best that you can? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I say to young people, everyone has a story. And you didn't write the story of your youth, but you can write the story of your adult life. And only you can write that story. So think about who you want to be, how you want to comport yourself, how you want, what you want to leave behind, what legacy you want, what what your goals are and aspirations are that really fit your personality. You know, I couldn't be a lawyer. I couldn't take reading all those dense materials. That wouldn't be my best the best use of my skills. Figure out what your true gifts are that you were given, and then improve on them. Lean into your gifts.
I love that. Lean into your gifts. What's next for you, Linda? And where can our listeners follow you on social media?
So Rand Construction has a website, of course. You can see us there. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram, and I don't know. There are a lot of places you can follow us, and I appreciate when people do. I get so many nice, inspiring notes from people who have read my Harvard Business School case study, who have gone to the classes that I've helped. You know, for me, that servant leadership piece was really important. That's that's who I wanted to be, was a servant leader. Well, I just want to thank you for giving me the time to share my thoughts about my own personal journey. As I said, everyone has a journey, and at a certain point, you get to write your own. So I wish all of your listeners the best of luck in the journey that they choose.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in to this super inspiring and insightful story and episode. And we'll see you next time. Bye.